This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back to the show. We are so excited to have Hadas Architect joining us. That's right. The owner himself, Dov, is joining us here today on the show. We're going to talk to him more about the firm. And by the end of the show, of course, we're going to learn more about all the high quality standards that they can help bring into your project. With over 20 years of experience, a trusted Long Island architect, a man that I need in my life. Welcome to the show today. How are you, Dov?
Excellent, excellent.
Well, pleasure to have you here. First and foremost, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, architect, we design buildings and we work on residential buildings, on houses, on renovation of houses, brand new houses. And we also do commercial building and buildings. In my past, I've done work on car dealerships. I've done work on medical facilities, small medical facilities, CAT scan, MRI suites, and things of that nature. Small office buildings. We're a small office, so we cannot handle. We're not equipped to handle the project or the big buildings that are right behind you. But smaller projects we can certainly handle. 2 stories, 3 stories, 4 stories buildings. We do a little bit of multiple dwelling. A little bit in the city, a little bit on Long Island. I'm also licensed in New Jersey and in Connecticut, although we haven't done much in the area lately. So most of my work is located right here in Nassau County, Suffolk County, and a little bit in North Hempstead, and a little bit in the city.
Yeah, well, I want the house that you did at Eula Bay Park. I saw that on your website. Amazing. Beautiful, that waterfront home. Oh my goodness.
Big waterfront, was about 8,500 square feet. This is actually I've done a few of them over there, right by the water. So I'll give you a choice which one you want to get.
I know, right? Let's see how many millions I got in the bank. Well, maybe in the future. But right before we talk more about the work you're doing, I want to get to know you as a person. I need your background. Tell me where you're from and walk us through. I want to know about your family life growing up and how you got into architecture and where you went to school and all the good stuff. So we can, we get to know who we're talking to.
Okay, so I was born and raised in Israel. Did my schooling in Israel, my high school in Israel, did my military service, and then I came to New York.
Okay.
I started to be enrolled in New York Institute of Technology.
Oh, me too. I got my master's from there.
Oh, look at you. And then I went to Pratt Institute, so I graduated from Pratt Institute with a degree in Bachelor of Architecture. And then I worked in New York. The economy was a little slow, but we started, actually, my first project was at the Plaza Hotel. So the office that I was working for, we did some work mostly at the lower level, at the service levels of the hotel. The hotel had 3 basement levels. We were given a small field office on the upper floor of the hotel, on the 17th floor. And every time we needed to do some work, we just went up and down the elevator, went down to the basement, took the measurements, and did whatever we had to do. While going down the elevators, we ran into some very famous people. Muhammad Ali was one of them that went into the elevator with a couple of my friends and I, and it was very nice. And so it was a lot of fun, a lot of good time. And then Mr. Donald Trump, our president, purchased the hotel, and he renovated the hotel. The upper 2 floors were used for storage. They did some rental for some office space, and he says this is the prime site of the hotel. 16th and 17th floor of the Plaza Hotel are prime real estate. Get out! So we were kicked out of the hotel, and obviously he renovated and whatever happened. But business-wise, he made a smart decision. We lost a great place to work, but since then we started to work on other projects. So that was it. I worked for other firms later on. works on some various large projects, and so we gained some experience in that. And eventually, at some point, we ventured on my own, and that's where I am.
Wow. Well, we're excited you're here and
Yeah.
grateful that you're taking the space with us today to talk more about all the services you provide. So, when did you go out on your own? When did you start your own company?
Well, we started in the 90s. The economy was a little slow. I worked in a
Okay.
firm that we used to do some work, a lot of airport work. So I've done some work at Newark Airport, a little bit of Kennedy and LaGuardia. And the work started to dwindle, and
Hmm.
eventually the office became smaller and smaller and smaller. And at some point, I went home. So I went home. I spoke to some, at the time, we didn't call them headhunters, but there were the recruiting officers. And I spoke to one, and he said, listen, you got to be prepared not to get an architectural job for the next year or two, because the economy was, the time were really bad.
Yeah.
So I started to do things on my own, and then it started to mushroom, and that's where I am. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And I want to break down some of this work that you're doing. I think it's important to our viewers, the process. Can
Yeah.
we start with residential projects? So if
Sure.
someone out there is interested in a home renovation, a new home construction,
Yes.
in addition to the home, these are all things they can come to you for. And
Yes.
walk us through the process of some of your clients and the things that we have to, start off with. What do we have to come to you with? Or are you going to kind of walk us through the whole process?
Okay, so some people are coming over when they are thinking of purchasing a house. So if it's an existing house, I would go with them. They would tell me what they want, what they need, how big the family is, and what they want to spend on the property. So we evaluate the structure, the building alone. Does it have enough bedroom? Does it have enough bathrooms? Is it large enough for them? Does the backyard, is it big enough? And then we assess what we can do. Is it worth it to
Yeah.
keep the house intact, or would we be better off just starting from scratch, knocking it down, starting from scratch? Here in South Nassau County, we have flood issues, obviously because of Sandy. So FEMA has maps, and they are mapping what they call the flood zone. So if your house is in a flood zone, and if you're doing so much work, then you need to lift up the house. So a lot of people, if that's the case, then definitely it's a good idea to knock down the house. We start with a house lift, not a house lift necessarily, but I prefer to knock it all down and start from scratch. You don't save a whole lot of money by trying to save bed construction or construction that had been damaged already. So it's much better. And lifting a house costs money, so you'd better off just start from new, build a house that is high above
Yep.
7 feet, 8 feet above the grade,
Hmm.
so you can use the ground floor for parking under the house, and then you build 2 floors above that, and you're less limited in what you want to do, because you can get the number of bedrooms that you want. You want to get the walk-in closet, the big master bathroom, and you want to get the big windows, the big views, and the kids' bathroom could be
Yeah.
designed, as far as how many kids you have, how many bathroom you want to give the kids, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously, the heart of the house is the kitchen. Kitchen these days are becoming the center of the
Yeah,
house.
I feel like since the pandemic, everyone just hung out in the kitchen. I live out in Holtzville, and I have a kitchen. I have a dining room area. The dining room
Yes,
area has been like a playroom forever. There's no furniture in it. I
right.
wish there was no wall there. It doesn't make sense anymore. I feel like there's no such thing as a dining room with people who have china cabinets, right?
A lot of dining rooms have turned out to be offices
Yeah.
because people don't go to work. So, but yeah, kitchen, they turn out to be very big kitchens. And with big islands and big counters, so you can sit around the island, and you can cook, and you can talk, and you can play mahjong or whatever you want to do around the table, around the counter. And obviously the big cooking and the big telephone, so you can always order in if you.
And
And
what type of trends are we seeing in the residential home? So obviously the bigger kitchen, the
the
what
bigger
if, yeah, go ahead.
the bigger kitchen, the open spaces, So you walk into the house and there's hardly any walls. The ground floor is you got the living room, the dining room, as you said, which has basically become just dining space,
Okay.
dining room, and then you have the kitchen again, which they could become very large. They become with a big island, as we said. Some people, if you're kosher and you want to keep kosher, then some people like to have a big what is called a kosher kitchens. So they have maybe two refrigerators, they have two sinks. So obviously they need more space in that area, and the family tends to congregate around that space. So you want to make it really really nice, big windows. You want to have a nice access to the backyard, a little terrace if it's elevated, and you want to get a little terrace, a little deck coming out of the kitchen, so you can hang out in the sun or whatever your preference is. And that's it. Houses also are becoming a little bit more modern in style, whereas people used to like the more traditional looks,
Mm-hmm.
the more American style, the different American styles in houses,
Yep.
where now people are turning more into modern, some of them becoming even ultra modern, if there's such a thing. And people think less about what the value is going to be when I'm going to sell the house, because you build a house nowadays and you want to stay in the house basically until you're ready to, for the rest of your life. You want to stay in that house. So people think less about if I'm going to do it in this style or in that style, is it going to retain the value? Because it doesn't matter. If you live in the house, if you're planning for the next 30, 40, 50 years to live in the house, then it doesn't matter what the resale value is going to be.
Okay.
So that's really what it is. Obviously, the trend has been going on for a long time. Big master bedrooms, big walk-in closets, and big bathrooms. Some people like to have a soaking tub and all that good stuff. So again,
Interesting.
my preference is to have big windows, a lot of light coming into the house. I hate it when you walk into the house and everything is dark. You get a claustrophobic feeling. I like an openness as much as possible.
And
So
let me ask you about windows right now. Is everyone doing the dark windows? Is that what's in? What's happening?
the dark on the outside, yes, yes,
No
yes.
more white anymore. Yeah. And what about the exterior of the home? What type of finishes are we doing the homes in?
Well, people are still using siding. If
Mm-hmm.
anybody wants to use siding, I like to use cement siding, which is basically it's cement. It looks like siding, but they come in bigger sizes. Or there's a lot of woods on the market these days. A lot of the woods are actually simulated woods, but so it looks like wood planks, and you can furnish on the house, and you can put on the house. Wood still has a very nice value, but wood can also be used in a more modern way, not necessarily in a more traditional way, not the cedar shakes that we used to see. Definitely not vinyl siding or aluminum siding. This is big no. So you want to use paneling. A lot of people are using the stucco, which is it's more expensive than siding, but it could be a little nicer than siding. You can create certain striation in it, so it looks a little bit nicer. Doesn't look big. You can reduce the scale of it, so it looks more manageable. It looks more like a residential type dwelling. And yeah, of course, a lot of people are using solar these days. So a lot of solar panels, which you can get
Mm-hmm.
some rebates, you can get some all kind of incentives to do that. And
Awesome.
you get the biggest incentive, you pay much less on your electric bill.
Interesting. All
Yeah.
right. What do you love most about working on like new home projects?
Well, you like the design of it. You like to meet with the client. The client have certain ideas. They say, I want to have this, I want to have that. But then I like it when you come in and you show them what I wanted to do, what I wanted to show them. So quite often
Yeah.
they're very surprised of what the end results, what it looks like, where, they have a vision of something, of those old type houses in their office, and you come in with something that is more open and with more light, as we have
Got
discussed
it.
today. Um, you know, Circulation works much better. So all of a sudden you got the more separation. You got the traditional ways of you're coming into the house, or you're going into the public space, and then semi-public place, and then you move into your private spaces. So there's sort of a progression where you come into to designing a house, and
Beautiful.
that's the nice thing about that.
Got it. No, I mean, you do so much. How do you choose commercial? Do you want to discuss some of the commercial properties and the work you do there? I know it's our first show together, so I want you to feel comfortable in speaking whatever it is that's important to you.
Yeah, well, look, what it all comes down to is architecture
Yeah.
and design. So whether it's a commercial building, you want to make it look good. Whether it's a residential building, you want to make it look good. You want to make the owner happy with the what you give them. So even with the commercial building, if the exterior is involved, that you try to do something that's a little different, you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to do something that a little bit unusual, but not unusual, totally nuts. I'm not Frank Gehry after all, but to do something that is reasonably, to do something that is modern, clean, something that tells you what it is. I'm doing right now some work on a hotel right here in Long Beach, the Long Beach Hotel. So
Mm-hmm.
I renovating the front of the house. Maybe you can see it behind me. If you can see it on the wall
Yep.
right
Yep.
there. So this is
Wow.
a proposal for what we got the approval. So now we trying to make it work. So as if you can see, it's essentially two structures that are connected in between, and right now it's connected. They have a very old fabric, sort of a canopy that is have seen his good days have passed. So we're trying to do something that is more inviting, something that is more prominent on the street. It's on a main street in Long Beach. So we're trying to make it look good, and then on the inside we try to again clean it up a little bit as much as possible. On the one side, we want to get some sort of an element with an entrance to a dining area. So we want to again to get our attention. We want the attention, but we want it to look really good. We want the attention to be positive, and not to be the ugly duckling on the street. We want to be the swan on the street.
Of course we do. What else for today? I know it's our first show. We have only 4 minutes left. Did you
Yes.
want to cover for us? Because I mean, clearly the work that you're doing is beautiful. I love it. I love it.
Well, my personal satisfaction is varies. Sometimes they're just a small project. Some years ago, I was involved with a very small project in New York City, where a restaurant that was on the ground floor of a place on Second Avenue, they wanted to expand to do what is called the Sidewalk Cafe, what at the time used to be known as the Sidewalk Cafe. But it was
Okay.
an old building. It was a 6-story brick building that was built around 1900, and the brick was actually a typically brick. Usually brick is a brick veneer. In this
Okay.
particular case, the brick was the structure of the wall. So the first floor started with about 6 layers of brick, and then it
Okay.
goes down to 5 layers and 4 layers
Oh,
and
wow.
etc. But the nature of the brick is that you put one brick over the other, so one brick supports the other. If you try, they had opening between the restaurant and the new Sidewalk Cafe. They had opening of maybe 3 feet wide, and it looked very disconnected from each other. The owner wanted to open up and create like 15, 18 feet opening. But in order to do that, you have to support the rest of the building. You have to remove the brick. You have to do something so the brick is not going to come down. And if they're going to come down, they're not going to stop. So I had to devise a structural system to support the wall almost on its own. So it's almost like a person walking on crutches, but then you have to walk on one crutch. Anyway, it becomes very, very complex, and especially with the way the building is built and all that. So we had to build a structural system alongside the walls to support the walls, and then little by little take out the bricks until we had created the big enough opening, and then put the steel in, and then put it in. And then at some point we said, okay,
Mm-hmm.
clear the tenants of the building, and we said
Yeah.
we're transferring from the support system into the main system. And this was it's a very little thing. It's a very small, nobody really sees the effort of it, but I was very, very satisfied with what happened, and everything obviously went without a hitch. So this is one of the joys that sometimes you can get out of what we do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure getting to know you and get an overview of the company and all you have to offer. And we appreciate our time together today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's a great pleasure meeting you finally.
Same here. And would you mind sharing how we could reach out to you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me by telephone. My number is 516-678-8200. Or you can email me at dovehadasarchitect.com. And that's it. These are the best ways.
Great. Well, pleasure getting to know you today and looking forward to the next time we speak, Dov. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share. This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.